And we'll also see exactly, where the coding is done for machine learning, and if there are any other tools available to speed up the work in machine learning. Okay, so these are the areas we will look at. Okay, so what I will do is I will start with the interesting facts, and then we'll continue with the flow. Okay. So we will have interesting facts, artificial intelligence, why now, then application components, where can we fit AI. We'll have a quick demo on AI, one of the implementation, and then we'll followed by Q&A sessions. Okay. So probably it should last for around 45 to 50 minutes. We'll go ahead. Now, let's look at a few interesting facts about AI. So earlier, we had oil as one of the dominating industry, where most of the laws and rules were sometimes governed by the oil industry. Reason? It was one of the most flourishing and demanding and the booming industry. If you look at since last year, last decade, to some extent, the shift has focused towards the digital economy. Uh, for example, if you take a country like Dubai, they have appointed a special AI ministry, which never happened in any of the specific technology or domain. But at least for AI, they have the last quarter of 2017, they have actually appointed a special ministry for artificial intelligence. So with that, we can actually understand, the kind of importance being given to this particular technology, and and how much of effort is being put into that. Even if you look like in India, if you look like companies like Reliance, which was actually dominating in the petroleum market till the last decade, and probably now even they are also started focusing on this new economy, which is our digital economy. Probably they already put their footprints into mobile technology, connectivity. Okay, a lot of service providing. So with that, they also keep gathering a lot of data. So definitely, they are also focusing on the digital economy. Even if you take a company like Google, Google during the last century, their motto was mobile first, and now it has changed to AI first world. Okay. And it's expected overall that by 2020, uh, overall customer assistance, if you look at the tools available, 85% of it will be based on voice and face recognition. So that's the kind of transition which is happening into AI right now. Probably millions of worth of stocks which are traded automatically by the help of machine learning or AI programs on a monthly basis. Another interesting fact is if you look at Singapore Changi Airport, this is a new airport which has come up in Singapore. There is no human interaction there. Okay. So most of the stuff is automated. Right from you enter into the airport, you do your security check, your boarding pass, the time you board the flight, everything is automated. Okay. So you will not find human interaction there. And probably this is the kind of the world we are trying to look into the future. And another important aspect is our neighboring country, China. They have stated that by 2030 they will be leaders in artificial intelligence. So that's the kind of challenge we also face. And then if you look at the Boeing flight, it is manually controlled. 7% of it only is manually controlled. Rest of 93%, it is on autopilot. So a lot of AI is also used into this thing. Now, Let's look at one or two other interesting facts and then we'll move to the next slide. Now, if you compare artificial intelligence with the human brain, okay, uh, given the current stage of artificial intelligence, it is almost equal to a 4 years old human baby. Okay, but by end of 2028, in next 1 decade, it is expected that the AI's technology brain will grow as equivalent to as an adult human brain. But probably in the next 1 or 2 decades, it is expected that its intelligence, this machine's intelligence, will be equal to the entire human brains combined. Okay. So that's the kind of exponential growth in terms of AI technology we are looking at. Now, what is the advantage of adapting AI and machine learning in the current world? If you look at companies like Alphabet, which owns Google and YouTube and Facebook, their combined revenue, is more than half of the worldwide internet advertising revenue. So they earn more than half of the internet advertisement revenue. And how do they do it? It's all because of data. So they have the data with them. So whatever data they gather, they do a lot of analytics and do a lot of deep dive into the data, and they apply a lot of AI and machine learning. Based on that, they try to facts, find, and figure, and that's how they earn the revenue. So definitely, data is the key. So these are all the important facts, and other few are listed here, which are self-explanatory in terms of numbers. Which amount of data the Facebook processes in a day, which is 10 petabytes. Okay. So others are self-explanatory. So what I will do is I'll go to the next slide. Okay. So these are a few interesting information about comparing human brain with AI. Okay. So human brain has around 100 billion neurons and around 100 trillion synapses, which is nothing but connections in between the neurons. And our brain operates at around 20 watts. Okay. Then the brain is limited to 5 types of inputs data and from the 5 senses. So I will not go to each and every slide, every point. I am just covering the main points, and I will go to the next slide. Yeah. Then let's look at the overall revenue chart in terms of AI market, okay, which is spanning for a decade from 2016 to forecasted to 2025. It all started, I think, if you look at 2016, and if you look at the revenue of around 2025, it is probably 40 folds of revenue increase in terms of revenue, and definitely it is an exponential growth. And the reason for it is the technology is driven and which is going at a rapid pace. Okay. So definitely there is quite a good future in AI, and if you look at the revenue figures with forecast and few with actuals, definitely they are quite promising compared to. Okay. Now, if you look at the market dynamics, what are the areas which could really get impacted with the involvement of AI in the current market, and what kind of one is it will automate most of the repetitive tasks, okay, which was also done earlier. So definitely that is a major part in it. Then cloud infrastructure, then a lot of automation will be done in testing, which actually most of it has already happened, but still a lot is being done in the testing area. Then we have automated cars, where most of the major companies like Tesla, Google, GM Motors, everybody is working on that part. Then the most promising area is virtual assistants and industrial robotics. So virtual assistants, this will impact a lot of customer care. So as the technology is improving, definitely these virtual assistants will be, in most of the industries it will be. And so if you look at the overall trend, it is expected that it would probably kill around 5 million jobs by 2020. Okay, so let's try. Now, we understand that the market is dynamic, okay, and definitely the market is changing. It's probably not the same old traditional market in the future, okay, because there are a lot of other factors gets added into that. Now, let's look at the new age workforce exactly. What exactly is the demand of a new age work? First and the foremost is definitely the communication skills. Then definitely you need to self-brand yourself, uh, and you need to be multitasking, innovative. You have to be, keep reinventing yourself, constant learning, and you need to upgrade your skills. You have to be quite adaptive and diversified. Okay. Now, why you need to do all this is because if you look at the current industry and what is being forecasted in the future, there is an increasing trend in the area of freelancing and contract employment. And why this is happening? It's because the market, the overall environment is quite dynamic. It keeps changing most of the time. So that's why you need to have the core skills to be part of that environment. So companies can't really afford most of them to be full time. So what they will try to do is to some extent, some part of it or most of the part of it, they'll keep it either as a freelancer, as or as a contract employee. So that's with regards to the market. Now let's take one or two quick basic examples. Now, when we say technology versus humans. Now, if you take a lawyer, probably that example I have not listed here. Uh, so, or else we can go with the teacher example also. So let's go with the lawyer example. Now, assume that there is a lawyer, and in his whole lifetime, he might have gone through around 4,000 to 5,000 cases, and that is what his case study would be. Uh, Now, when he gets a new case or a new problem, he needs to give a solution. For that, he will have that experience of around 4,000 to 5,000 case studies or practice which he has done during his lifetime. Okay. Now, if the similar kind of a problem, if you try to solve with machine learning, okay, uh, there could be a lot of advantage in it. How? Because when you actually train a machine to solve such kind of a problem, you have to you would definitely pass, tons and tons or thousands and millions of records, which are nothing but case studies to that particular system. So that system learns from that data and then gives it out. So if you look at a human, probably during his lifespan, he can, go through 4,000 to 5,000 cases max. But probably a machine can actually learn from millions and millions of records. Okay. So definitely, during the course of time, the output from the machine would be far more superior than what a human would get. uh, that's how we can compare it. But yeah, but definitely there would be some noble situations where humans have to get interacted or have to take charge of it. So what exactly machine cannot actually resolve this? If you look at Percy Spencer, he was working on a radar during World War II, and he noticed that the melting of a chocolate part, with the knowledge of that, he actually invented a microwave. So definitely a machine cannot do that kind of a novel comparison. Or probably a human can focus on innovating work like text structuring and other areas. So these are the areas where computer would not be self-sufficient at this point of time to work on. Okay. And what are the major verticals or categories of AI in the current market is definitely first and foremost would be healthcare, finance, followed by automation, and followed by legal, and then the rest of the industry. Now, news, media, and advertisement is also picking up quickly. Uh, so these are the areas where most of the AI is, focus has been in terms of technology. Okay. So definitely, other areas are also coming up, catching up quickly with us. Now, what are the other major areas of AI in terms of implementation in terms of percentage, the distribution of AI with regards to the basic other technologies. So first one is autonomous robots, which has around 30%, 31% of share. Then we have digital assistants, which has around 30%, neurocomputer, embedded systems, and expert systems, so which is around 12%. So this is the kind of the areas of distribution of AI within the subtechnologies. Now let's quickly look at the history of AI. Definitely AI is not new. It has this terminology is almost existing for more than three-fourths of a century now. But it all started in one of the Rossum University robot, which opened in London. Actually, which was Carl Parsons' play. In this particular play, the first time the word robot was used in 1923. Then, during 1956, John McAtee coined the actual word or the term artificial intelligence, and then followed series of sequence of events. And during 1990, there was a tremendous improvement in terms of in the field of AI. Lot of new things came up, algorithms at the same time. New gaming started getting developed. A lot of theoretical information was also getting built during this part of the time. So 1990 was definitely one of the most aggressive times for AI to start, work and implement. And it all turned in 2007, in 1997, when the Deep Big Blue from IBM beat the world champion, Gary Kasparov. Okay. Now let's try to understand why now. Because if this AI's history spans across a century, then why we are talking about AI now? What's the reason behind it? Let's try to understand that reason so that we have clarity why that is in the market. Uh, one of the most important part is processing. Okay. AI is definitely a CPU hungry machine. It really needs a lot of processing power. Okay. And probably with the inventions of GPU, the processing speed has really increased a lot. This was probably invented 5 6 years from now. Okay. And the invention of GPUs really changed the market in AI. With increase in processing speed and decrease in cost, that's one of the reasons. Then definitely other reason is data. So past few one and a half decade, there is tremendous increase in the data. Uh, Probably it could be structured data, unstructured data, uh, social media data, transaction data. So everywhere you'll find data which is abundantly available. And that is what a machine learning would really need. And definitely there is a sharp droppage in terms of storage cost. That's one more advantage. So all these three factors actually influence or also influence the actual, a boom of taking of artificial intelligence, and that's how all this started in past 5 to 6 years. Okay. So that is why we call it three V's, which is velocity, volume, and variety of data. And what are applications of AI? Definitely, there are many. It spans across various technologies. We'll look at few of them. The most age-old solution of artificial intelligence or machine learning is email spam detection. This was one of the most primary solutions which machine learning had worked on. Then we know that Facebook uses a lot of artificial intelligence within it. And one basic use is just tagging photos based on the pictures. And we all know Tesla, which has autonomous driving, which is quite famous. So then we have banking industry implementing a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning basically for fraud detection, probably for developing statistical analysis. So all that banking really is using a lot of AI. Then even in medical industry, a lot of AI is being used to detect the images and to find out whether it's cancerous or non-cancerous. Okay. And a lot of other areas within machine learning. Ola uses a lot of AI to understand its customer base and demand. Google uses a lot of AI, and this is the PlayStation uses definitely a lot of AI. And Shri from Google, sorry, from Apple, they also use a lot of AI, including Amazon. Amazon also uses AI. They use most probably in, most of the best use they do it in product recommendations and product suggestions basically. Okay. So based on your past pattern and search, what kind of products they'll try to show you and how it works and all that stuff. That's all part of your AI. Okay. Definitely, there are a lot many implementations within AI. Okay. And one of the best examples which I would love is the creation of Sophia. This is actually a robot which was created, and it has more than 60 human feelings, and it has been in lot of conferences. So this is one of the best inventions with regards to artificial intelligence. And based on it has another advantage is on based on learning, it keeps improving itself. Okay. You can check on internet. You can just note it down. Sophia autonomous robot. Sophia. So you will see what kind of technology has been implemented and what kind of advancement it has made in AI. Okay. Now let's quickly look at few buzzwords within AI and ML. Now you might have been hearing a lot about data science, big data from a long time. Okay. So now data science is not actually a technology, but it is a domain. Okay. It's a domain in itself. Okay. uh, where most of the other things fall into picture, probably be it big data or machine learning or AI, everything falls under data science. Okay. Then what is big data? Now, big data is a homogeneous, voluminous, and more and complex data which a traditional system is not really capable of handling it. Okay. So big data could have images, it could have videos, free text, it could have transaction data, so a lot of other information, but all this information is internally stored to give you a quicker response. That's what all about the big data. Now, let's try to start focusing on AI and machine learning. So we will start getting into that. Now, if you look at this chart, this particular diagram, it clearly shows that machine learning is a subset of AI. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So this is how it would be. So basically, deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. So when we say a subset, probably artificial intelligence could involve other technologies. Okay. For example, it has implemented machine learning, but it could also implement IoT. Okay, and both of this get synchronized. Okay. Probably it would create a robotic arm. Definitely, then that is part of your IoT, and it is connected to your machine learning program. So that's where an AI would look like. And machine learning is learning by experience. So we develop basic programs in such a way that we train the system based on the existing data. And once the system learns on the existing data, so in future, whatever data you pass in, it will predict based on the existing data models. So deep learning is one step ahead of machine learning with the help of neural networks and all that. It's try to solve the problem. It's a bit more complex compared to machine learning within machine learning. So these are a few basic visuals. Uh, so these are all the technologies which we have heard most often. Analytics, business intelligence system, that is your business warehouse systems, statistic analysis, data visualization. There are a lot of data visualization tools available in the market. Then we have machine learning, we have big data here. So these are all how they are interlinked to one another. It all falls under the umbrella of data science. Okay. So this artificial intelligence machine learning, it can also use your big data. The data can be anywhere. It's RDBMS, flat file, or big data. So artificial intelligence uses that particular data to train the machine. This is just another way of looking at this particular data. This is one more way. Okay. So basically, you have big data, you have deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So definitely there would be overlap of technologies. That's what I'm just trying to do. Basic overlap of technology. So you have a clear data that big data is definitely a separate entity, but definitely there will always be some overlap where the deep learning data could come from machine or big data. So there is always an overlap here. And there are different subjective experts, different areas within the data science. Okay. So, for example, you can be in coding, where you can be in security team, you can be in SQL developer or a Python program developer. So all that falls under this area. Then there is another area which is more specific towards statisticians. And these are very few limited roles, but very promising roles. Okay. So this is what that fall under. Very few companies will have this role at that. Apart from that, there will be another role, which is to more to do with business marketing, or a business user or a super user. Uh, okay. So they will have the knowledge of the business, and they will try to integrate that with the technical team and statistics. But overall, uh, most of the time we hear the word data scientist. Okay. So data scientist is one who has knowledge in all these areas. Probably not an expert, but he definitely needs to know what goes in and what comes out, so that he can have an overall image of the overall process. Okay, so that's how different roles would spread across within your universe. Now there are various tools available in the market. Okay. Uh, we will just look at few of them, handful of tools, what exactly they are. So one of the most primary tool is the programming language which are available to work on machine learning. Okay. And the most popular one in the current market is Python. Okay. Earlier it was probably R, but now it is overtaken by Python. And there are a lot of other programming languages like Scala. These are a few tools. So probably you will be learning one of the programming language. And it is always better to learn where the industry is. Okay. So it's basically Python as a programming language in machine learning. Then it uses a lot of database. Definitely any program will use. So either you can use MSQL, you can also use your Hadoop and other stuff, but definitely you might not need to know the entire Hadoop structure or database structure. It's like any other development program. Should know what the data is all. And then comes the visualization tools. In most of the cases, if you do the data analysis, okay, you need to visualize it also. Visualization needs a lot of data to your data analysis, whatever you have done. So there are a lot of tools available in the market. Uh, one of the important tools is Tableau, which is quite hot in the market. Okay. And definitely there would be most of the people who would be still working on Excel to generate their tools. But Tableau is definitely one of the emerging tools with regard to data. Then we have some GUI tools also available. So if you are not a hardcore programmer and probably you still want to work on machine learning, or probably you are a business end user, you still want to work with machine learning. Definitely that can be done by GUI tool. And one of the most predominant tool in the market is the rapid mining. That tool is quite predominant in the market. And apart from that, Azure ML is another, tool. And probably a lot of other companies or big corporates also provide their own GUI tool. So you can check that. But these are one of the most prominent ones. And there is one special technology which is available for machine learning. Is something called a TensorFlow or so machine learning works with a lot of numerical computations. It is completely filled with numbers and it tries to do the mathematics calculations and all that. So it needs a lot of power. So that's where the processing power. So that's where TensorFlow and Piano comes into picture. Where if you use that, you can actually specify the usage of CPU, whether you want to use a CPU or if you want to use a GPU, the background session and all that. So that's all is possible by using this one of these, which also helps to improve the performance. So these are all basic tools in and around AI and Apart from that, there are other offerings from clouds and APIs. We have Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, then Amazon Web Services. So all of them provide a few of, I think this provides GUI, this provides GUI. Google does not provide a GUI development API. But definitely most of them provide the APIs which are actually required on a day-to-day programs. But the answer is that everybody is on top of it. They are focused on AI and these are few tools which are regularly being used uh, in artificial intelligence. And if you look at the scenario trends and scenarios, that will tell you, yes, most of them are sensible products which can, out of which Anaconda is one product, which is actually, if you use that, it's a package which actually loads your Python programming language and all its dependence, makes easy installation. Again, if you compare Python, probably a year back or 2 years back, it has almost doubled its existence. While you see R, it is definitely not going in the same direction, probably in the same direction, but not the kind of exponential growth which Python has. And R has been existing from a long time, and but Python has stepped it now, and though it was also existing for some ages now, but now it has really picked up on it. Definitely, this is an area instead of R, you should look at Python, which is what the industry is looking. So apart from that, there's where the tools we integrate that will also work. We should get TensorFlow. And there are few libraries available. And in Python, definitely these are the libraries which are one of the most important parts. Most of the time when you're working with Python, you will work with libraries, similar to SQL and other. This is a basic data flow of your machine learning activity. Okay. And the most important part is your data. Okay. So around 60 to 70% of your initial energy or effort will go with regards to managing and playing around with the data. So that is the most important part. Okay. So rest is actually, building the training data and testing data, choosing the right model, training your model, doing the evaluation and deploying data. So initial steps are only 3 steps, but definitely this makes a lot of impact on the project because around 60 to 70% of your time goes on preparing and working with it. Then let's look at few terminologies. Okay. What are these terminologies? Basically, we will look at what exactly a machine learning and how it operates from a first point of view. So assume that you have a machine learning algorithm. You actually pass input data, it processes the data, and it gives you some output. Now, the input data which you pass can be called as a variable, feature, or a parameter. And output could be with different naming convention, either class or variable. But we'll just to make it simple, we'll call it as input and output. So, just to tell you how the programming would really look like. Okay. So, probably if you look at this, this is one database. Okay. And this is the database of your Titanic ship, if you remember the movie, the famous movie. So this is the information of the people who survived the Titanic disaster. Okay. So it has the passenger ID, the P class, name, assets, age, swimming, ticket number, fare, cabin, and whether he survived or he could not survive. Zero for he couldn't survive, one he couldn't survive. Now, in the machine, you actually pass this is the data, input data, and we consume this as an output data. So while learning at this stage, you pass this data and this data. So the system will automatically learn to map this to this. Okay. So once you do n number of records, then in the future, if you want to do a prediction, you just pass only the input, not the final output. So based on the earlier readings and learnings of this data, it will then generate you this output. Okay. So this is how a basic machine learning would look from our perspective. It is basically training the model, and the model will get trained and it will get mapped to some input and output. And later you will create a model which will have some calculations. When you pass this kind of an input, this is the output it will get. Okay. So one of the important aspects is, machine learning's most fundamental, problem is linear regression. So what we will try to do is, we will just run a quick demo class. This will be quite interesting. Okay. And we will try to look at what exactly is that. Probably in 10 minutes, we will go to a lot of information that will really give you some basic insight. Okay. Now, let's do one thing. Or let's look at one of the problem solutions on the autonomous self-driving car. Okay. Now, this is probably known as the reinforcement learning. Okay. This problem solution is known as reinforcement learning. It is for the autonomous vehicle. Okay. Now, you need two things to actually develop this autonomous thing. One is you need an environment. Okay. So basically, this car and all this roads, trees, mountains, this is all your environment. Okay. So we can simulate this environment, okay, and try to. So we will always have, in most of the cases, you will get third-party environments. So you can do that environments and you do your programming. So basically, we would write a program for this, and what we do is we will. This is in autonomous mode. Okay, you need to drive this car to make it work. Okay, so what you do is probably you will try to run this vehicle. Okay. It will take some time to process the data. Okay. So we have actually trained this vehicle to drive in this environment. Okay. So it has actually stored all the results within it as a model. Okay. And now what it does is it uses that particular model to actually drive this vehicle. Okay. So it has started processing the data. And basically, how does it work is, while we actually training this, uh, imagine in a real world situation, it will have cameras, probably three cameras on the head, facing front, probably on the other side. Okay. Now, while it is driving, it has these lanes, right? Okay. So I have trained it only to some extent. Probably, it depends upon how good you do the training. Okay. Because I'm not a great player, so I just trained it to some extent. Okay. So this is how once you do the calculation, it will actually store all the weights and all that stuff, and it automatically runs based on that. Okay. So this is about your self-driving car. So that's how beautiful it would really look at. Okay, that's one of the problems. And other area is probably the advanced part is probably you can also predict the stock market indexes. So this is one of the programs actually we are working on to predict the stock market prices. So probably it predicts for 30 sequence, upcoming 30 sequences. Okay, so it is being predicting that. Okay? This is one of the implementations which we are working on, which is for the stock market analysis. It has data from oil industry, BSC, gold, Nasdaq, dollar current price, and all that stuff. It takes up everything. It processes data, and finally it gives you this output, which is for next 50 days prediction. Okay, so this is implemented in LSTM algorithm. Okay, the earlier one, the car one, which I have shown you, that was probably Q algorithm. Okay, so there are different types of algorithms for different problems. Okay, these are all quite advanced one. The latest one, which is going in the current market, so whatever is being latest implementations or work is going on, those are these algorithms, LSTM and Q algorithm. So that's what the industry is currently working on. But apart from that, you should also know basic and all that stuff, basic information, where the basic information starts from basically the linear regression model. So this is your first algorithm which you really need to work on. Okay. So probably you don't need to do so much of mathematics. No, don't get scared with looking at this Excel sheet. This is to just tell you what system does in the background. Okay. So probably when you implement it, okay, you will just implement an algorithm and probably it will be just 2 or 4 lines. That's it. So here, if you look at this data, this is a restaurant data. It has bill amount. This is the bill amount and this is the tip amount. Okay. So the restaurant owner wants to know what is the tip amount for a given bill amount. This is the bill amount and this is the tip amount. Okay. So we normally use linear regression problem to solve this problem. Okay. So you already have ready-made libraries available. So you use those libraries to get the answer. Okay. And this all code is just plotting and graphing. This is just for our information to check what it has done. Okay. But basically, the raw code is only probably 2 to 3 or 4 lines with data. But if you look at this line, this is what the system calculation it does, all this stuff. So it is good to know some background, what that algorithm or the formula does, so that it becomes easy for you to choose those particular algorithms. So this is how, probably I'll just spend a quick time on this. So in linear regression, probably it uses a linear regression model, okay? And it tries to find work based on a line model, okay? Y is equal to mx plus b, which is nothing but it has to find the slope and intercept, and this is the formula for intercept slope, and similarly it will find the formula for intercept, and based on that, once you put a slope and intercept, if you pass the bill amount, which is x, you will always get y value. Okay. So I'm just trying to give you a quick brief because we don't have too much of time, but in real time we will go through this step by step to understand the background, what exactly happens when you use a Python program, okay, when you use that particular function model. And then you need to know basic science behind it, so that you need to know why you can use that particular algorithm out of all the other algorithms. Okay, so that's how the code would really look like. Probably this is you can ignore it because it's all printing and trying to put that information here. I can quickly just try to run it and show you how it looks properly. And this is not the only way of working it. I did it in personally in Notepad and working on command prompt. But you have tons of IDEs available like PyCharm, you will have Spider, where it is a complete development environment. So like any other C or any other program, you can develop that in a complete, random environment or dynamic world. You will have all predefined set. So you can always use that. But I feel more comfortable in Notepad, so I normally work. So this is how that programming would work. If you look at this, these are all the initial amounts which it has plotted. Okay, and based on that, it has given a best fit line. This is a best fit. So anywhere in the future, if you give an amount properly, it will try to match to this line, and you will get an output on the best fit line. So these are the actual problems we detailedly discuss while we go through the course. But I'm just trying to tell you, how the programming would be like, so that you can imagine and you can get a basic understand what goes behind. Okay. So this is about your linear regression algorithm. And let me walk through one final interesting stuff, and probably with that we are pretty much done. Now, we have looked at programming and other aspects. As I told you earlier, you also have a GUI tool available. Okay, so this is a rapid miner GUI tool. Okay, and let's see how easy, quick, and interesting it is. Okay. Now let's assume that you have a database. Okay, this is a database. A database of what? It is a database of flowers. It has length and width. Sepals length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. Okay. Now, based on these measurements, we will try to segregate the flower. Okay. Just based on this measurement input, we will try to segregate uh, the particular flower. And another interesting fact here, if you look at, it doesn't have the output also. Earlier we looked at an output, but here it doesn't have an output. It just has some basic information about the flower. We need to find out what the flower is. Okay. So what we do is we try to import this into Rapid Miner. Okay. So this is the one which I've imported already. I'll just paste it here. Probably it is taking a bit of a time. I just open another version. Just give me a minute. Okay. Yeah, it has come in. Then what I'm doing is, once I retrieve the data, okay, then I will use an drag and drop. So first I already have the data, then I have the algorithm, which is one of K means clustering algorithm. I am using clustering algorithm. Okay, and then I'm mapping it to the output. Okay, that's what two or three steps basically. Okay. Now I run this. Okay, now it has generated some output, right? Now if you look at the Excel file which I have shown you, okay. So what I did is I actually deleted the output. Okay. Let me put that what flower it belongs to. which I have it in another Excel sheet. Okay. Now this is my cetacean. Okay. So this is my flowers, which flower it belongs to. So probably it has 150 entries and it has three different flower types. Okay. Now let's see what our system has generated for us. Now system also generated this information, some information here. We passed on these four fields. If you look at all the first ones, it says cluster one, cluster one, cluster one, cluster one. Then probably till 50 it is saying cluster one. Okay. So it means all these measurements belong to one type of a flow. Okay. If you look the real-time data, okay, probably it is almost similar. Okay. It belongs to one set of data. Okay. So, but the system has automatically categorized and shown us the same information. Similarly for the next 50 and next 50. Okay. So that's how the powerful the system would be. That's how challenging or interesting these particular algorithms would be in terms of generating or sensing or analyzing the data and giving it out. Okay. Fine. So these are all various, I just wanted to quickly walk you through a few important aspects. So I am pretty much done. Okay. And moreover, I just wanted to introduce myself. Sorry, which I forgot in the beginning. I'm Santosh Pandit. Okay. So I have been working in these companies for past 17, 18 years. Uh, Most of these bank channels have been working with in Europe and US. Okay. And now we are working on a startup and we also work on corporate training and other areas. So that's about me. Fine. So what I'm doing is I'm pretty much done with it. So if you guys have any questions, then you can just quickly come back to me on this. So I'm pretty much done. Uh, Either you can type it on chat. Ask them to get the answers for it. I'm not sure if you guys are on mute. You can type it on the chat.
Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, I have sent my queries chatbot.
Sorry, can you come again? Your voice was breaking.
I have sent my query on the chatbot. Can you check it once?
One second. Just let me check.
Yeah.
No, I don't find, or else. No, I don't find it. You can just ask me right away.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Actually, my question is, can we get a chance to work on the project along with the training?
Project to some extent we can give you that basic information. Okay. So definitely we can whatever projects we will be working, we will be working on basic real-time data. Okay, that's the good thing about machine learning. So because it's all about data, and we can't really generate or get data. At the end of the day, we have to use some data from somewhere else. Probably. Okay. So there are tons of libraries and websites where you have good amount of data available, and probably the communities are very active in AI and ML because there is no other basic support. Okay. So you will find most of the information on the web or internet. So definitely that could really help you out. But as a project, definitely we can help you out. And being a part of it, we can really think of it. It depends upon your performance, and other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have one question. See, while working on private projects, if we get any query or if we get any challenges, so can we ask directly, or can we send a mail to you directly?
Yeah, it depends upon the time, how much time it is consuming. Definitely, if there are some fundamental questions, we can definitely answer that, as long as it is not designing the project. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys? I'll wait for a minute and then we will close the call. If you have any questions, please raise it.
Yeah, and yeah, my last question.
Yeah.
So, how much we're good at Python to kickstart this machine learning and AI?
How much?
Like, how much we should know about Python to kickstart machine learning and yeah, actually, I'm beginner at Python.
Yeah, this course is all for the beginners, definitely. Okay, the course is for beginners. You even Python is part of this particular course. Okay, so we the only important thing is definitely you need to have some basic understanding of programming. What a syntax, what a statement, that could be. But definitely, we will start with Python programming basics. What is a sentence? What is a variable? Different types of variables and all that. But it is better, or definitely it is good to have some basic programming knowledge in C or Java, basically. C++ and Java, because Python includes good amount of object-oriented programming. It's better rather than C. If you have good knowledge of C++ or Java or any of similar object-oriented programming, that is better. So this is for beginners, absolutely for beginners. You are starting from zero. Yeah. Any other questions? You're saying, I think Hari has a question. I'm not sure if Hari was the person who just spoke. Yes, can you please mute people so that they can ask questions? Or in meantime, you just type it out, guys. Don't let's not waste time. You can meantime type it out if you are not unmuted. What is that question? One of the slides shows API, full form of one of the slides shows API. API is nothing but it's an application programming interface. Basically, it's an API call where there is already an existing code somewhere else. Okay, written by somebody else. What you do is you will not write the whole logic again. You will just call that particular function module or the program by passing some parameters. It will give you that required output. Okay, for example, face detection. Okay, you don't need to write a complete face detection program again. You can, but probably a lot of other companies are also working on it, probably, right? So what you do is Google will provide you a face detection API. You just call that API and pass your picture. So probably it will do some face detection or face reading or anything of that sort. Those are called APIs. Okay. What's the next one? Is it necessary that all tools? No. If you want Python, you can just include, install Anaconda and Python, and you can go ahead and work with it with a basic
I
notepad.
have one question.
Yeah, yeah. Just let me close that. Then we can take the question. Let me close the existing one. Okay. So you can write it in a notepad, or if you can use an IDE integrated environment, which could be Spider, which could be PyCharm or something of that sort. So installing tools is up to you, what you want, what you don't. But basically, there is a basic requirement of hardware. As long as you can satisfy that hardware requirement, I think you can install other basic stuff. Probably more than 4 GB of RAM you would need. It is good if you have a GPU, and that to a specific Nvidia GPU. Hello. Yeah. Any other questions? There was a question right now. Can you just go ahead with your question?
I have one question.
Hmm.
As From the presentation, it appears that Python is widely used for machine learning AI. Any other
Yes.
programming language apart from the Python that is used for AI or the machine learning?
Definitely, there are many. There are many languages, but probably after Python, you can go for R. Okay, but definitely we would not suggest R, and definitely there is reason. That's the reason why we have to put some facts and figures over there. Okay, so you might have looked at the facts and figures which we just discussed, right? So R is one which is mostly used by scientists around the world. Okay, probably they don't want to shift at this point of time from one language to other programming language. Okay, just because it is popular. So those are the people who might continue. But if somebody is new to machine learning, so we definitely recommend that they go for Python instead of R. That's what the industry is using. Okay, you can't go out of the way from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
with the Spark, there is a machine learning module involved in the Spark, which is based on Scala and Java. So, compared to Python and that particular Java machine learning module, how it is compared, or which one is widely used,
So
or the
that's what I'm
type?
saying. That's what I'm saying. Widely used is Python. That's what I just said. But apart from that, there are other technologies like Spark and all that. Okay. Yeah. Those are ones which could be added on top of it. Probably for your, easy way of working things, or if you want to improve your performance and all that stuff. But for all that, you would need to have some basics first. Okay. So once you know all this stuff, then using Spark is just one more software and some basic operations in it. You can always use that.
Okay, thank you.
yeah. This is Hari here. So, is it mandatory that someone should have a statistical background on this?
Not really. It is good to have. Okay, it is good to have, but it is not mandatory because there are very handful people who have a statistical background. Okay, but yeah, while you learn the course, you try to understand some basic fundamentals of statistics, which you probably you did it in your schooling. Okay, so that is basically it is required, and basic statistics information. So that should help you out, like probability, which is a very fundamental, statistical concept, right? So
Okay,
those basic things you can touch upon, refresh yourself.
okay. Yeah,
We
thank you.
will tell you during the course what exactly you need to refresh in statistics, what it you need to use.
Thank you.
Any other question? Uh, so can you please unmute if people have questions? We can close quickly then. Attendee 3 is requesting for unmute.
Hi,
Yeah.
my name is Krishna, and I'm basically a chemical engineer by educational background. So my computer exposure is like very little. So do you recommend me like something before I join the program, like regarding programming?
Okay. So, as you're saying that you have basic, probably you would know basic C programming, like at least basic syntax, like what is a for loop and what is a variable and all that stuff.
Yeah, I need to brush up on that actually.
Yeah,
On that.
yeah. At least some brush up is required. You have to
Yeah.
spend at least 2 3 days before joining the class. Just brush
Okay.
up on basic programming fundamentals. That should be enough. You don't need to be a hardcore programmer. Okay, this is not like a C programming where you spend ages on like writing some logic. Okay, rather you would focus more on the data part. That is a better option. Okay,
Okay.
so
Yeah, because
programming.
I do
Yeah,
have got some basics of statistics. So I've got
okay.
statistical background. So that's why I'm actually going for this programming of in big data.
So that's what I'm saying. So it will definitely work out. Only thing is you need to spend some more additional effort on brushing up your basic fundamentals, and probably it would be for anybody, And it is not rocket science. Definitely, if you brush up 2 to 3 days of basic just to statistics and other concepts, or probably even while training, we will tell you what exactly you need to go through by giving you some basic information. So I think that brushing up itself can be done as part of your training.
Okay, Sudesh, thank you.
Yeah, this is Hari. One last question from my side. Just want to ask, maybe you can just correct me if I'm wrong, or if it is something not
No
relevant to
problem.
this
Go ahead.
particular session. See, I understand what you have given the demonstration, all these things, but just want to understand what kind of job responsibilities that people will hold after the completion of this training, like in machine learning and AI, or the some kind of generic terms which have been widely used in the industry, like where exactly the people will stand, or where they are going to transition their career from the current industry into the new environment. I mean, what is going to be their role play?
See, it all depends upon your project, your company size, your location, and your role. Okay. So there are a lot of factors which actually come into picture. Okay. But basically, I'll give you an overview so that you overall you can always imagine how things would go. Okay. So probably in one of my last project, okay, which was a complete data analytics project, we had different teams in that. Okay. Now, what are those teams? I'll give you just breakup. Then you'll understand, where you can fit in. So probably we had a system administrator, 2 system administrators, okay, who were working on setting up new systems for our testing and development environment and all that stuff. And rest live was hosted onto the cloud. So we didn't had any additional team for cloud. That is for our database and security. Then we had a team of around 20 people for testing. That was to test our systems, whatever test kits we had. Then we had probably around four data visualization team who were experts in Tableau, 14 members. Okay. Then we had one person who knew the business. He was from business and he was full-time associated to a project. If it is a small business, probably he would have been part-time associate. Okay. So then apart from that, you will have basic leads who will manage the team, and then you will have a project manager. And similarly, if you look at AI, that is one step ahead. You will have people experienced in Python programming who will be a programmer basically. Okay. Then if there is a huge amount of data, you need a people who have SQL skills and who can work on the initial part of the problem. Okay, first actually retrieving the data. Because sometimes, as I said, the project which I worked on, it was a 25 terabytes data. Probably we had around 7 to 8 SQL developers whose job was to make sure that we retrieve the data and start formulating the data in such a way. And then once you formulate the data, you will have the Python programmer who will actually use the data and try to, implement that in an algorithm. So there could be various roles. I'm just trying to tell you, in real-time scenario, every project is unique by definition. So, okay. But various roles it could be like it could be a Python developer, it could be a data scientist if you have overall knowledge of all the stuff, or it could be specifically focus on SQL if you have only SQL skills and if you want to get into AI or ML. Okay, so initially probably you might need to focus there, and if you're good at Python, it will get transferred to Python. So it all depends upon case to case basis. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
question?
Thank you. Nothing.
Any other questions? I hope there are no more questions. Yeah, then I think we can go ahead and close the call. Uh, Thanks everybody for joining the call, and you can reach out to our team for any further information you would need. Yeah.